Hello everybody, this is Matthew Epstein, and I am here today to introduce my tile design for a new game, Tournamental. Tournamental is a tile-based game in which you will navigate through the map, and you have different tiles to maneuver from. The tile that I designed is the flame trap. So looking at the map here, it's the little tiles with the grates. And what it does is it counts the number of steps that you take, and depending on what the level designer wants, it'll activate the tile after a certain number of steps. So the idea is that you don't step on the tile while it's smoking. The smoke is there as a reminder to the player that it is hazardous. So that being said, you can also not move by pushing yourself into a wall and keep yourself safe, since it still counts that as an input. And if you do step on the flaming tile, you're greeted with a nice loud scream, and you have to reset your progress. So going through the level here, you can see how this can provide a player hazard and a unique challenge that they have to avoid in order to win the level. So, let's get you into the design processes here. Let me open up the tile. So I inherited everything from the base tile, and we use the parents begin play function. And on begin play, we get a reference to the player pawn because we have a step counter on the player pawn that we use. And you'll see here that we have an event that we use that is based on the character stepping. So when the character steps, we use this function here, trap triggers. Trap triggers just compares the number of steps taken versus the number of steps triggered. Uses a mod function, check to see if it's 0, and if it is 0, we're going to use return value 1. If it is 1, we get return value 2. So what does that mean? Let's go back to the event graph. Alright, so we have those checks in place. So on this branch here, we check, alright, is it equal to 0? If it's true, we're going to set the trap to on, and I used hot to toggle the visibility of the fire, just to kind of keep my event graph a little tidier. And then I made another function to just check if the player was on the tile. And then we check that against branch. If they are on the tile while it is on, they're going to take damage. So coming back here, off this branch, if it is false, that it is not 0, right? So the trap is not on. We're going to make sure that we have all of our visibility for the smoke and fire off. And then this check here is if it is equal to 1, so if it is about to turn on. So I have warming here, which is turning on the smoke. Going back to the event graph, we also have a check here. We just check to see if it is entered. If the player has entered, we inherit the parent function. We check if the trap is on. If the trap is on, and then we're going to damage the player character. So, that being said, that is the functionality of the tile itself. Let's go over to the player pawn. Okay, so the event graph here, this player movement function, it got a little addition. At the end of it, I added a variable for the player steps. It's just an integer. And then we count that integer up, and we use that has stepped call in the flame trap here. So that's a reference to the call here. Going back to the event graph, right? So this is the begin play function. We have a bind event for it on take any damage. So the player takes damage. We're going to check that as player pawn. And if it's the player pawn, we're going to disable input and we're going to go into death sequence. Ignore this for now. I had some issue with the little animation that I put in there. But for now, what I have it doing is we have it playing that screaming sound, add the delay, enable the input again, and reset the level. That way we can have the player have to replay the level if they have accidentally stepped onto a flame trap. Go back to the event graph real quick, and we'll just double check here. I think that is everything for the function of it. Yeah. Now it was a timeline I was using for that. No, I think I've got everything covered. If you have any questions about it, let me know. And as always, thank you very much for watching and have a great rest of your night.